Welcome to another edition of the Business and Personal Podcast, where we bring you closer to the people that you do business with. And today we're excited to have Kelby Bice on with us. He is the owner of local Medicare Advisors based out of Lubbock, Texas. And just give you a chance to learn a little bit more about him and where his passions are at, why he loves what he's doing. So first of all, Kelby, it's good to catch up with you outside of annual enrollment, where you got a little bit more time on your hands. And thanks for joining us.
You bet, Ryan. Thank you for having me.
So I know, like a crazy man, you decided to branch off on your own about a year ago and start your own thing. So that's always the American dream, to do that. What was kind of the final push to put you in that direction?
Oh, man. In the insurance industry, there's always an upline agency above you. But for me, it was ultimately just retirement years. If I'm ever ready to exit the industry, I want, this history of book of business that I've built up. I wanted to have some ownership in that. And so that's kind of why I decided to take that option of kind of going out on my own.
So how did it go? Tell me, what your thoughts were in the first year. You're still doing it, so you must feel like you made the right move.
I guess yes, of course it's the right move. But it's not easy, you got to think about all the things that were automated for you before this, like website and IT and marketing and all that stuff that, I know Medicare, I know that side of it, but as far as the administrative parts of it is the tough part, I guess.
No, absolutely. And Kelby, I've worked with a lot of agents like you, and when I look at what you do, I almost don't even look at it as sales. I feel like you're more of like a stress reliever for seniors. You're like a solutions specialist, is kind of a term that I like to use, because Medicare sign up is stressful. I've learned so much, and I can guarantee you when I turn 65, I'm not even going to think about trying it on my own. I'm definitely going to hire someone to help me. So what's your kind of overall thoughts about that and how you present yourself to the people that you're helping out?
That is my whole thing. I try and stress that to people. Look, I'm not here to push you one way or the other. I'm not here to convince you of something. I'm here to lay out the information clearly and honestly, so that you can make a wise choice for yourself. Everybody's situation is different. Like you said, it's complicated. So I'm just here to, get to know you a little bit. I know the industry, so I'm here to get to know you a little bit, show you your options, and then I'll give you some advice on which way I think is better for you. But I'm absolutely not here to be a salesman, fast talker, things like that. I think of it mostly as education.
And once you get that license, it's not like that's your last step and you don't have to do anything else. I know you go through a lot of continuing education. Medicare is always changing to stay on top, but I don't know if people realize just how much extra work there is to do even once you've gotten your license.
No kidding. We have to take a state test every year. That is long. Lots of questions. We've got to take fraud, waste, and abuse classes, continuing education every 2 years. So that's about a class a month, all the time. And then, of course, the certifications with every carrier that you represent. So it's constant learning, constant staying up to date. But it's good. I would hate for you to talk to an agent who didn't have to do all that and had outdated information.
And, for those of you that were searching for Medicare advice and stumbled across this podcast, wondering, okay, how much do I pay for, he's got all this knowledge and he can help us with this important decision. How much does that cost? Guess what? It's grand total of attention. You have to pay attention. That's it. $0. It's unlike any industry I've ever seen where you can get so much knowledge, so much valuable information and pay zero for it. There's nothing quite like it. So are people shocked, Kelby, when you tell them it doesn't cost anything?
Yes, absolutely. But there's kind of a two sides to that coin. If you're not paying somebody for their time, you got to wonder how are they getting paid. So I always encourage people to ask. I'm always transparent about that. That way, okay, are they giving me this information to, is it honest, or are they trying to sell me something?
Oh yeah, totally understandable. Nobody works for free. Of course, you're getting paid by the carriers, but what a great win-win for everybody involved
Yes,
in this
it is.
situation.
Yeah.
So when again, people that are stumbling across this, trying to figure out, okay, when can I call Kelby to help us out? I feel like there's like three buckets of people, and the first one is those are not quite 65 yet, but getting close. When should they start to look to reach out to you for advice?
Yeah. 3 months before the month you turn 65, we can actually start making progress, taking steps to get you ready. But I meet with people as early out as a year from really their 64th birthday. Some people are really proactive about it. It does not hurt to get your information, to study on it, to think about it. And then we, of course, schedule follow-ups as the time gets closer to your 65th birthday. I prefer 3 months out for us to start working on the steps it takes to get you ready for that 65th birthday.
And the real answer, I guess, anybody could call you at any time if they just wanted to start to gather info. But that's a good kind of trigger point. I wouldn't let it go much later than what Kelby's saying there. So the next group is kind of a growing group. It's used to be turn 65, you're probably retired and you go to Medicare. There's not a decision to be made. But today's world, today's economy, more and more people are working beyond age 65. So then there's a decision to be made. Do we stick with the employer plan? Do we get Medicare? I'm sure you've run into some of those situations. Every situation's different, but what's kind of the overall advice in those situations?
Yeah, that's where it gets complicated. Past 65 and when you should do what. I try and keep it simple. My agency here, we do group insurance, so we do employer insurance. I try and keep it simple. Think about the cost of your employer insurance and think about the deductible and the coverage. Because I can guarantee you the Medicare network is better than your group plan. And so if the cost is pretty close, roughly $200 a month to your employer plan, then it's probably a wise decision to start thinking about Medicare and moving on to that. Because contrary to a lot of popular belief, Medicare is pretty darn good insurance. And if you do it the right way, I say there's a couple ways to do it. But if you do it one way, you may find that it's better coverage at a lower cost.
Again, case by case, and it's also take a look at it every year. That could change from one year to the next too. You're still working at 65 through age 69. Just don't assume every single year that the answer is going to be the same, right?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
You can't treat Medicare like Netflix. It's not auto renew. It's so many changes are happening. You got to constantly review it, right?
Yep. That's good.
Yeah. So you can use that one with your clients.
I'll start using
Netflix here. Yeah. So the third group, I think, Kelby, is people that didn't know you existed, went ahead and tried to do this on their own, have been doing it on their own, doing the Netflix thing, renewing it automatically for the last couple of years. Now they realize, geez, someone with all that expertise can help me for free. Never too late to get a second opinion. When can those folks reach out to you?
Yeah, that's my favorite group of people to work with. Anytime. Reach out to me anytime if you've got questions. If you're already on Medicare, yes, there's time periods when we can do certain things, but to have somebody sit down and look at your situation who has expertise on the industry and knowledge on all the different directions and options and things you can do, it's just good to have them look at your case, because that's my favorite thing. I love sitting people down who are stressed about medication costs or surgeries coming up, whatever it may be, having to change a doctor because of network issues, those things like that. I love sitting down with those people and saving them money, helping them out. I like making them cry, right? That sounds terrible, but so many times we sit down and they leave with happy tears. And that's just what happens when we take it into our own hands and we don't spend time looking at it But there's usually a lot of options, a lot of money saving options that we can find.
It's insane, man, with all the different people I've worked with. I've heard so many stories of the slightest tweak in the policy save thousands of dollars on maybe an upcoming surgery or something like that that maybe wouldn't have been covered previously. And again, it's unlike any other industry. You get that expertise, you save all that money. You don't have to actually pay money. Think about refinancing a home. You refinance your home, you're saving all this money. Well, there's a lot of closing costs involved in that.
Yeah.
You don't have any like fees that you have to wait several months to recoup those to make those savings work. Those savings are immediate.
Yeah.
So lots of changes in Medicare right now, and it kind of seems like they're really watching the bottom line closely, which I like. You like, because we want Medicare to be there for us when that time comes around. Can mean a lot of different things to a lot of people. So, you don't need to kind of get deep into the weeds, but just from an overall sense and perspective, what's your feeling of the changes that are happening right now with Medicare?
Overall, I'm excited about the prescription side of it, costs wise. We may see fewer selection available as far as drug plans go, but we should see higher quality. So there's just certain medications right now that plenty of people take, but Medicare doesn't cover them well. And so luckily in my part of Texas, we have a cool program with a local hospital here that helps supplement some of the costs that Medicare prescription doesn't cover. But moving forward, every year, this year and going forward till roughly 2026, I believe, we're going to start seeing some of those problems fixed. So I'm excited to see seniors save money on their prescription costs.
And there's always a give and take with this. Some drugs might be less expensive, some might be more expensive. It's good job security for you, because all that means it's more and more important than ever to work with an agent like you that's going to be able to scour everything that's out there to make sure that people are in the right plan.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit, Kelby. You've already told me about making somebody cry. I love to hear success stories. So, without obviously giving out names or getting too detailed with it, is there one, or if you can go into even more detail on that particular situation that stands out that keeps you fired up about doing this?
Yeah, actually just this fall, this AEP, I sat down with a older couple, probably late 70s, and they had just an exhaustive list of medications. Well, we sat down for about an hour and a half, and by the end of it, they saved about $3,000 on their prescriptions for 2024. Had they kept the same plan that they were on, they would have been out about $3,000 more than they needed to be. But that kind of, not to toot my own horn, but that hour and a half there isn't something that just everybody could do. They couldn't play with the numbers. They couldn't find the plans and find the alternatives and really ultimately find the best coverage at that low cost, unless you spend 40 hours a week doing it, like I do. So that was a really cool one to see. I've got lots of them where, they're on a plan that maybe they chose, and unfortunately they come down with cancer. I can count nearly 10 different cases in the last 3 years of somebody who was healthy at 65 and then came down with cancer a few years later. And a lot of times they chose a plan that was great for them at 65 when they weren't going to see the doctor. But now they start having to get chemo and radiation treatments, and they realize, man, these costs are outrageous. So we get together, we figure something out for them, and it's just a whole lot better situation than it was before. So, I love it. I get to see people healthy. I get to see people sick, and I don't want to see people sick, but at least I am in a position that can help them financially and just lift their spirits as well in certain times of their life like that. So it's a really neat opportunity. I get to make a lot of people's day.
Well, and you just think about it too. So many of these people are on a tight fixed income. So to save $500 is a huge amount. To save $3,000 is absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
And I know it happens a lot. And even if Kelby's able to verify you're in the best plan for you, what do you have to lose by at least calling? Because it's not going to, again, not going to cost you anything for that analysis. And that's just great peace of mind to have. So, would love to hopefully have this podcast lead to more success stories for you, Kelby, even if one person happens to stumble across it, and it makes a difference. That's what we're here to do. So what is the easiest way for, at this point, someone's listening to this, really wants to talk to you. How the heck do they get a hold of you?
Yeah. Phone, email, online, but really just call us, 806-698-8882. We are located in Texas, but I can help people all across the United States. So, and if anything else, just give you some good advice. I do that a lot, actually. I'll have somebody call me up and they're in Utah, and I'll say, well, this is what I would recommend, but I absolutely think you should find a local agent in Utah. Sit down with them because they're going to know your area a little bit better. But at least you have some advice going forward into that conversation from me, somebody you can trust. So call us. We have a website, localmedicarelubbock.com. That's local Medicare Lubbock, LUBBOCK.com. There's a request information form you can fill out, put in your name, email, phone number, ask a question, whatever it may be. That way, you can email me, kbice@stevensinsservices.com. That's a tough email, so I recommend just going to our website and filling out one of those requests for information forms. But anyway, man, just get a hold of us. We're here to help you out.
And for those watching on YouTube, all this information's on the screen for you. If you happen to be listening to the audio version, hop onto the YouTube version and fast forward to the end where you can see all of Kelby's contact info. But congrats on making it. The first year is always the hardest. So congrats on making it through that. It's all gravy from here, man.
Thank you.